So let me begin. Swagatam sarvebhyaha Sri Ranganatha Paduka Bhaktebhyaha. Let me start with the Taniyan of Sri Vedantadeshika. Ramanuja Dayapatram Jnanavai Ragyabhushanam Srimad Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedantadeshikam Sriman Venkatanatharya Kavitarkika Kesari Vedantacharya Varyo me Sannidhattam Sadagridi. So let us all salute the preceptors also. Gurubhyastad Gurubhyascha Namo Vakamadhimahe Vrinimahe cha Tatradyo Dampati Jagadampati. We have a tradition to worship all the preceptors. In Tamil also we have, as per Vedantadeshika's words in Tamil Prabandham, Ennuyat Tandalittavarai. We start with our parents. They are our real gods, visible to all of us. So, Ennuyat Tandalittavarai Sharanam Pukkiya Nadeven, our Guru Kannere Vanengi Pinnarulal, Perumbodur Vandavallal. We are now talking of Ramanujacharya. Perumbodur Vandavallal, Periya Nambi, Alavandar, Manakkal Nambi, Annariye, our Kuretta Viyakonda, Arnathamuni. Chatagoman Senenathan, Inamudat Tirumahalan Rivari Munnittu Emberman Tiruvadigal Adakindrene. So this is a verse blessed by Vedantadeshika in Tamil. We say Lakshmi Natha Samarambham Natha Yamuna Madhyamam Asmad Acharya Varyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. So this is how we salute our preceptors. So we make a total surrender to all the preceptors and begin the study of Padukasahasram. So the first verse being Santasri Ranga Prithvi Charanatrana Shekharaha Jayanti Bhavanatrana Padapankajarena Vaha. From the Prabhava Paddhati, chapter number 1, verse number 1. So we also recite the first verse of this Prabhava Paddhati, third chapter. Vande Tadranganathasya Manyam Padukayor Yugam Unnatanam Avanatirnatanam Yatra cha Unnatihi. So we now go to the next verse. So we saw in 55th verse yesterday, Bhumi Shrutinam Bhavanasya Dhatri Gunairananta Vipula Vibhutya Sthiraswayam Palaitum Kshamanas Sarvam Saha Shauri Padavanitvam. So we have to see today 56th verse. Sthiryam Kulakshoni Bhrutam Vidhatse Shesha Adayaha Tvam Shirasa Vahanti Padaprasuta Paramasya Pumsaha Prithvi Mahimna Manipaduke Tvam. So we are called to the divine sandals by Sri Vedantadeshika, the author of Sri Padukasahasram, with 1008 verses composed within 1.5 hours. So the ideas may be repetitive, but they are little different in presentation. So what happens? So the divine sandals are the greatest and sometimes considered as greater than the divine feet of the Lord. And what happens to the permanent residents of the heaven, namely Sri Vaikuntham? Let me read it again with the sandhis. Sthiryam kulakshoni bhrutam vidhatse sheshadayastvam shirasa vahanti padaprasuta paramasya pumsaf prithvi mahimna Manipaduke Tvam. So the first half tells us that the earlier idea that the three important permanent residents of Sri Vaikuntham, namely Adishesha, the first servant, Adi first Sheshaha servant. The first servant is Adisheshaha. And then you have Garuda, the kite, the vehicle, the carrier called Vahanam. And so also the third one, namely the security staff, say Izzat security, black cat, whatever you have as the modern term that we use today. So it is Vishwaksena. And you know the verse also about Vishwaksena, which we all of us say it in the beginning. Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Yasya Dvirada Bhaktradhyah Parishatyah Parashatam Vignam Nignanti Satatam Vishwaksenam Tavashraye. So Sheshadayaha, Shesha Adayaha, Adishesha and others, etc., etc., Adayaha. Sheshadayaha, what do they do? In Vaikuntham also, the Padukas are there, the divine sandals are there. They are never separable from the divine feet. And therefore, they carry on their heads with a lot of respect. And therefore, they are on the head. The divine sandals are on the head. Shirasa Vahanti. Shirasa by the head, that is by their heads. Vahanti, they carry. That means they honor, they adore, they give respect, they regard. So, Tvam, you, Sheshadayaha Tvam, Shirasa Vahanti. And you know the concept of our Aitiham, that is belief, is the earth is held by Adishesha. The earth is carried by Adishesha. So Adishesha has got literally thousands of hoods, but we say 1,000-headed Adishesha. Pani is there. So Pana is the hood, H-O-O-D. So 1,000-headed Adishesha is carrying the world's weight, burden. You can also say that it takes care of by the idea that the Adishesha does not, protects us from the trouble of what we call earthquakes. Okay. Now over there are mountains. And we have 7 mountains, as we normally say, Kula Parvataha. Choni Brit. Choni means earth. So I got a lot of words for earth. Now in this verse also you have the last line, quarter, Prithvi, earth. So we saw 7 words in the previous verse, namely Bhumihi, Dhatri, Ananta, Vipula, Sthira, Kshama, and Sarvam Saha. So we have these mountains are there. So we have different lists in different shastras. Generally, they are called principal mountains. And again, so Kulat Shoni Pratam. So there are 7 mountains, generally 7 important mountains. Of course, it points out to all mountains. So Kulat Shoni Bhritam. So if there is an earthquake, much damage is done to all the objects on the earth, even the mountains which are rocky in nature. They got strong rocks, hard rocks, but they also shake. So Kulakshoni Bhatam Sthiryam. So the unshaking nature their firmness, their strength is assured by the divine sandals. And when the Adishesha carries the world on his head, the Paduka, the divine sandal, assures Adishesha that these mountains also do not totter, do not move. Therefore, Stairyam Kulakshoni Bhritam Vidhatse. So, O divine sandals, you take the responsibility of the maintaining the strength of the principal mountains. Vidhatse, that you make an arrangement that these mountains do not shake, do not shiver. Why? Because, O Manipaduka, Hey Manipaduke, in the last line he is addressing, Hey Manipaduke, O gemmed divine sandal, O the best divine sandal, pair. So, Paramasya Pumsaf Pada Prasuta. So, you have been born, rather you came out from the divine feet. Rather, Lord Ranganatha or Lord Sriman Narayana created you. So, who is he? Paramasya Pumsaha. He is the highest primordial being, the greatest God. So, Padaprasuta, Paramasya Pumsaha is the greatest God, Almighty, from whose divine feet you came out. Prasuta. So, what happens? So, your name now has become Prithvi. Prithvi. That means you are also strong. So Prithvi generally, which means earth here, it means the strong divine Paduka. So Mahimna, and you can also say add Prithvi Mahimna, by the greatness that we see on the earth, namely the divine sandals maintain the strength of the mountains and hold the earth in good stead, along with the Adishesha, etc. They also take care. Vishwaksena is not only the security for the Lord Almighty, but also for all others also. He also ensures safety for us. So he is the security for the entire world, entire universe. So Prithvi Tvam, so you are the bearer. You are carrying the weight, you are carrying the burden, you are carrying the responsibility of taking care of the earth where we are living. So Mahimna, by your own greatness. So the greatness did not come from anywhere else. You have your own greatness, self-greatness. So Mahimna, by the greatness, Hey Manipaduke, Tvam, you are called Prithvi. You can also say a fatty person. So Pruthu meaning fat, heavy in personality, in the sense heavy in greatness. So Stairyam Kulakshoni Bhridam Vidhatse Sheshadayaha Tvam Shirasa Vahanti Padaprasuta Paramasya Pumsaha Prithvi Mahimna Manipaduke Tvam. So in the few verses of this Prabhava Paddhati, we see that Vedantadeshika, the author, has extolled the divine sandals to a great height. We go to the 57th verse. So, Daitya Adhipanam Balinam Kiritaha. So, Visarga is to be joined after splitting the conjunction, Sandhi. So, Kiritaha Nikshepanam Te Yadi Na Abhyanandan Ranga Isha Pada Avani Padavani Rangadhamnaha Sopanatam Prapya Vahanti Ami Tvam. Let me read along with the Sandhi. Daityadipanam balinam kirita nikshepanam te yadi nabhyanandan Rangesha padavani rangadham na sopanatam prapya vakantyami tvam. So this is another way of appreciating the greatness of the divine sandals. Now we already saw that there are some people among the human society, among the demons, and even among the gods, that they are insolent, they are proud of themselves, they are selfish in nature, they have jealousy towards others, they have a lot of pride in their mind, they think high of themselves. So here we know for certain that definitely the demons will always do. Wicked people will always have haughtiness, and therefore, and they are also strong. Because they do frequently penance and they get the boons from the lords like Brahma and Shiva, and therefore they are very powerful also. So Balinam. So one example was the first two letters, Bali, Mahabali Chakravarti. We call him Mahabali. Today you call it Bahubali. So Balinam, Bahu Arm, so arm strength, the strength of the physique. So Balinam of the strong people. Who are they? Daitya Adhipanam, the leaders of demons. So the leaders of demons are very strong. They can conquer easily the enemies. So what happens here? So all of them come and seek the blessings of Sri Ranganatha's divine sandals. As they perform penance and seek boons from the gods like Brahma, Shiva and others, they also come to the temple, Ranganatha's temple, perhaps, during the dark time, during the nights. They prefer nights, and because they roam during nights, that is dark times. And therefore, they place their crowns down and they bow down. Generally, all of them bow down, but some of them are so proud that they don't want the shatari to be placed on their heads. Though many demons remove their crowns from their heads, as the gods remove their umbrellas over their heads and also their crowns on their heads. There are 33 leaders among the gods, as you know. 11 Rudras, 12 Adityas, 2 Ashwini Devatas, 8 Vasus, and so on. So 33 leaders also feel that they are very proud, they are haughty, and therefore they have crowns on their heads. So even after perhaps removing the crowns on their heads, some demons do not wish to bow down to the priests in order that the shatari will be placed on their heads. So, and even when the priests adore their heads with the shatari, the paduka, the divine sandals, they don't care. They don't appreciate. They don't they don't want to receive blessings. They don't want to be humble. They don't want to be modest. And then they don't adore the sandals. Just for the sake of others, because other demons do, some demons who are haughty also follow suit. They also have the shatari on their heads. Yadi, if, look at the word yadi in the second quarter, yadi te, if they, na abhyanandan. So if they do not appreciate, if they do not extol, adore the placing of the shatari on their heads, nikshepanam. So what is nikshepanam here? So nikshepanam also can mean indirectly the surrender. So they don't want to fall at the feet of the divine sandals. They don't want feet or divine sandals. They don't want to fall at the feet of Ranganatha. They don't want to fall at the divine sandals. Sashtanga Namaskara is not ready, they are not ready to do. So Nikshepanam, that is placing, so placing of the, or depositing the shatari on their heads, they don't want to appreciate. Na abhyanandan, it's a past tense, you can say. So they don't do it. They didn't do it. So if very strong leaders of the demons do not appreciate, if they do not appreciate, there's a doubt in the mind of Vedantadeshika. Some of them will be insolent and they will not bow down their heads. So if they do not do it, so that was the character of Mahabali earlier. And take for example all demons in the during the avatar of Lord Srimanarayana. Ravana was haughty. Kumbhakarna also joined him. And we have Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Shishupala, Dantavaktra, so many other demons. In the Krishna Avatara, you find a lot of demons. Aghasura, Bakasura, and Kapithasura, Dhenukasura. So many demons. So they were all haughty. They always fought against the gods. And therefore, in that way, if they do not appreciate, so what will happen to them? So we saw earlier a little negative aspect of, that is, whatever has been written as good future letters of good future. So they become bad letters, and therefore they will have a rather dark future. That's what we saw earlier. Durlipayaha bhavanti. But this is now a little turned into a little positive one, namely, so what happened to them? Sopanatam prapya ami tvam vahanti. Ami, these Daityadipaha, the leaders of the demons, vahanti, they carry. Now they have to carry now. Whom? Tvam, you. Because when Lord Ranganatha starts going out of the sanctum sanctorum, walks away, along with the sandals, divine sandals on his divine feet. So the divine sandals have to stamp on the steps of the temple, on which we also go and reach the sanctum sanctorum. So tvam ami tvam vahanti. Now Vedantadeshika visualizes the scene in person, and therefore, so these demons have become what we call the staircase. Sopanatam, steps to tread on, steps to go on, walk on. So, O Rangesha Padavani, O divine sandals, that is divine sandals which protect the divine feet of Lord Ranganatha. Ranga Isha Pada Avani, Rangesha Padavani. Rangadhamnaha, again, so Rangadhamnaha, Dhama is house, temple. We call it in Sanskrit also Devakulam. Devakulam, the temple is called Devakulam. A family of gods is residing in the temple, especially in the form of archa, that we can worship. Therefore, now Dhama, so Rangadhamnaha, so we are talking of the big campus, Rangadhama, Ranga temple, Sriranga temple, Srirangam temple. So in the temple, what happens? So what happens is the Daityadipaha, the demon leaders, become the staircase. Prapya sopanatam. So they come to a lower status from their high position as leaders of demons. They have come to as steps in the temple. So Vahanti, now they are carrying on their heads, the divine sandals, when the divine sandals walk on them, step on them. So, Ami, these. So, in proximity, Vedantadeshika experiences their presence. That is, experiences their presence in the form of staircase, sopanam, and find the reason for their lowering of status, namely, if they did not appreciate the placing of shatari on their heads after removing the crowns of two. So let me read again. Daityadhipanam balinam kirita nikshepanam te yadi nabhyanandan rangesha padavani rangadhamnaha sopanatam prapya vahantyami tvam. Now all these words correspond to the high status of divine sandals. Again, some repetition of the ideas, but again, Vedantadeshika wants to stress upon the greatness of the divine sandals. Let me read. Shesho Garutman Manipada Pithi Tvam Cheti Padavani Vishwamanya Tulyadhikara Yadi Kintu Santaha Tvameva Nityam Shirasa Vahanti. So here, again, Adishesha is mentioned, Garuda is mentioned, the kite, the vehicle, the carrier, Garuda is the bird is mentioned. Then third word, Manipada Pithi Tvam. So let me split the sandhi and read. Sheshaha Garutman Mani Pada Pithi Tvam Chaiti Padavani Vishwamanyaha Tulya Adhikaraha Yadi Kintu Santaha Tvam Eva Nityam Shirasa Vahanti. So Sheshaha, Adisheshaha, Garutman, the Garuda, the vehicle, and Manipada Pithi Tvam, you as the pedestal for the divine feet, the best feet and the best pedestal. Mani Pada Pithi Tvam Cha, and you as the pedestal, that is the supporter of the divine feet of Ranganatha. He Padavani, O divine sandals. So, O divine sandals which protect thee, which take care of the divine feet of Ranganatha. What happens? They are Vishwamanyaha. They are all adored by the entire universe. All people appreciate the servants of God, especially the three important. The third important servant is rather the paraphernalia, or what you call the possession or the object belonging to. Namely, the number one, Adishesha, number two, Garutman, Garuda, and Manipada Pithi, the divine sandals. So all these three are adored by the entire universe. Vishwamanyaha. All people know, understand clearly the greatness of these servants. Namely, because they are servants for 24/7, that is Nityam, forever. That so this servants' service is being appreciated by the entire universe. All people adore them. And therefore, what do they have? Tulya adhikaraha. As said by me yesterday, that Nindral Maravadiyam. In Tamil it is said that Adishesha will also do the service of becoming the divine sandals. One day you can say exchange of service also. That can be done by the Nityasuris of the Shiva Vaikuntha. or the released souls in the Sri Vaikuntha. There are fettered souls, chained souls, imprisoned souls here, as we are on the earth. And when the imprisoned souls become free souls, souls with freedom from the cycle of birth and death, they are called muktaha. So we are called baddhaha. So we are all imprisoned. We are all chained. So when the chained souls, fettered souls, reach the Vaikuntham, that is mukta, they become muktaha. They can have exchange of service. And therefore, in the same way, so when they are appreciated, tulyadhikaraha, they have equal right in doing service. Adhikaraha doesn't mean power as sometimes we mean in Indian languages, like Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, etc. We may understand adhikaraha meaning a powerful person. Adhikari means officer, we say. Adhikari. Officer meaning one who holds some power. But adhikara means right, R-A-G-H-T. So tulya adhikaraha here, right to do. There is no power. So there is right to do. Everybody has got equal right to do. In Sri Vaikuntham, and especially in the Paramapadam, namely what we call the Sanctum Sanctorum there, where Lord Thirunarayana resides. So the specific particular place, they have the service done in equal measure. So tulya adhikaraha, tulya equal. Adhikaraha, so vyomasanskrit. Those who are adored by the entire universe, namely the Adishesha, the serpent, the eagle, Garutman, and the divine sandals, Manipada Ph.D. So all are appreciated by the universe, and they have equal rights to do service. Yadi, if they have equal service, there's no doubt about it, but Vedantadeshika gives an idea. Kintu, when you say they have equal rights, but why santaha, great people, tvameva nityam shirasa vahanti? Now, kintu normally means but, as all of us know. In Hindi also we are using the word kintu and parantu for even a single letter tu is sufficient. So kintu, parantu, tu. So these are all. So here you can take it a question also, or say as a statement. If the three, namely Adishesha, the Garuda, the kite, the divine sandal pair, are having equal rights in doing service, then santaha tvameva nityam shirasa vahanti. You can take it as kim as a question. So two as but. So why but the good people? I mean, santaha means good people, great people, mahantaha. Santaha tvameva. That is people who always do right things, people of good behavior. So what do they do? Tvameva, only you. Nityam, forever. Shirasa vahanti. They carry on their heads. Now, why don't they carry on their heads Adishesha? Is it possible? Must think of. Then can we have Garuda on our heads? No. We can have a Garuda symbol, maybe on our head dress, cap, turban, hat, and so on. So as we have some emblems for sportsmen, so some drawings, some pictures. So we can have. So do we have any snake on our headdress? No. No symbol of snake on our head. Of course, only in the temple we have the shatari placed on our heads. We don't carry them all the time. So after coming out of the temple, we don't have shatari on our head. But we can, because imagine that Nammalvar, the best, one of the greatest Alvars, 12 apostles of Sri Vaishnavism, we can imagine that we are carrying the Alvars on our head. That means only when we know the songs blessed by them, for example, 1,000 and odd songs by Nammalvar, we can say we adore him. So when we say we respect someone, we must remember some achievements of that someone, somebody. Then only we say we give respect. Otherwise, we cannot. Today morning, one gentleman called me by phone and then said, "Sir, I am Mahadevan. I am your student." And I said, "I did not teach you at all. Why do you consider me as a teacher?" I said, because he studied in another institution. And then, so I said, "I'm not your teacher." But he said, no, I will call you my teacher. So the respect given to a person who has not taught you at all. So that is the what you call, in your mind, you keep honorable figure. That's all. So there are so many people who remember their teachers, and they are honorable. Those who remember their teachers, for example, in the school or college or university, or wherever they studied, they must remember at least a few names, or you can also inquire their welfare now and then. So such a great person was Vedantadeshika. Even as he has not seen his teachers, namely Ramanujacharya, Nathamuni, and Alavandar, they called, Stotarathan author, and other authors, Kuresha. So many acharyas were there. He is called Yamunacharya. Alavandar is called Yamunacharya. So the three preceptors are important, and the three preceptors have not been seen by Vedantadeshika, but still he adores them because he has written commentary on their works. He has written a commentary on Stotarathanam, a book of Yamunacharya called Alavandar in Tamil. And he has written commentaries on Gadyatrayam, Sriranga Gadyam, Vaikuntha Gadyam, Sharanagati Gadyam of Sri Ramanujacharya, out of the 9 works. So that means the student, the so-called student, who has not seen at all the teachers, adore their preceptors, former preceptors of the clan. So here, Santaha, great people, Tvam you alone, only you, Nityam, forever, Shirasa, by head, Vahanti, carry. That means they give respect. So it's not a question of coming out of the temple and leaving Shatari in the temple. And therefore, for a few seconds, the Shatari is placed on our heads. Whereas the great people always consider that the divine sandals are more important than any other servant, like Shesha, Garuda, and etc. Of course, Vishaksena is not mentioned in this verse. In the previous verse, it was Shesha Dayaha. Adayaha was the word, etc. Others and others. And here it is only 2 names given out of the Nitya Suris, we call it. They are called Nityas, permanent people. We are called Baddhas, and released souls are called Muktas, Mukta. And we are called Baddh, Baddhas. So Sheshaha, now let me read again. Shesho Garutman Manipada Pithi Tvancheti Padavani Vishwamanyaha. Though they are all honorable by the entire universe, so they are not carrying on their heads the Shatari. Whereas even once done in the temple, the carrying of Shatari, the great people remember the Shatari always. Tulyadhikara yadi kintu santas tvameva nityam shirasa vahanti. So let us go to the next verse, 59. So we already saw these words. Padaprasuta paramasya pumsaha. Just now, in today's session, we saw these words in the third quarter. Pada prasuta paramasya pumsaha. So some words are repetitive. Parasya pumsah paramam padam tad vibharshinityam manipaduke tvam anyadrisham vyomasadam padani tvayayatante yadidam na chitram. Now, again, this can be taken as a question or a statement. Last word, idam na chitram. So put the letter na, no, in the expression idam na chitram and become nedam chitram. Is this not wonderful? Is this not a surprise for you? Is this not a miracle for us to understand? So idam na chitram, this is not a surprise at all. So yat, which is not yadi here, if, but it is yat, which, idam na chitram, it is not wonderful for us, a surprise for us, a pleasant shock for us. What is that? So first line, parasya pumsah paramam padam tat. Tat, when we say that means indescribably great place called paramam padam, Srivaikuntam. Srivaikuntam is called paramam padam. And that is denoted by the word tat paramam padam. We say in the scripture, tat vishno paramam padakam sada pashyanti surayah. So in the suktam, so paramam padam tat. So that indescribably great and greatest, you can say, highest place, namely Srivaikuntam, paramam padam. So whose property is that? Parasya pumsaha, so of the greatest Lord. So it belongs to the greatest Lord. The entire universe, namely called Leela Vibhuti, as you might all know earlier. So the Leela Vibhuti is the creation, all creations. And the Nitya Vibhuti is the Srivaikuntam. Both are the own properties of the Lord. So Parasya Pumsaha. So we are going to see in future all that both these worlds belong to as a property of the divine couple, including Mahalakshmi. So Parasya Pumsa Paramam Padam Tat. So that indescribably the greatest and the highest place called Srivaikuntam, which belongs to Parasya Pumsa, the primordial being, the greatest Almighty. What happened? Tvam Nityam Bibharshi. Now this is something peculiar in the sense that the world, the two worlds called the created world and the permanent world, namely called Nitya Vibhuti and Leela Vibhuti. Leela Vibhuti is for the world, it's a term for the created world which is meant for the sports game for the Lord. Leela Vibhuti. It's a casual creation and it is for the pleasure of the divine couple. This world has been created by them. And therefore, so now what happens? The divine, so the two worlds, namely Nitya Vibhuti and Leela Vibhuti, are taken care of, are created and sustained by, protected by the greatest Lord. But that greatest Lord, at his feet, at his divine feet, the divine sandals carry him. Therefore, who is the greatest? The greatest Lord takes care of the two worlds. Only two worlds are there, namely one is Nitya Vibhuti, Vaikuntham, the other is Leela Vibhuti, all the created worlds. If you say 14 lokas or so, whatever it is. All the rest are called Leela Vibhuti. And when the leader of these two worlds is the greatest, and the leader is now taken care of by the divine sandals at his divine feet, then Paduka is to be understood as the greatest. So Tvam, you, Nityam forever, Bibharshi. I told you the divine sandals are ever inseparable from the divine feet. So, He Manipaduke, oh gemmed divine sandals, oh the best divine sandals. So, Tvam Nityam Bibharshi, Paramam Padam Tat. You carry the Vaikuntham on your head because the word Vaikunthaha, if it is said in Pullinga Shabda, masculine gender word, it refers to the Lord, Sriman Narayana. Vaikuntha Purusha Prana. Ritukat Vaikuntha Purusha Pranaha. I think it's just Vishnu Sahasranamam. So Vaikuntha is the name. We generally call a person by his native place also. And you can give many examples. So Parasya Pumsaha Paramam Padam Tat Bibharshi Nityam Manipaduke Tvam. So you forever carry the Lord and his place, namely Paramam Padam. Then, so now by this, what is the greatness of the Paduka? So Anyadrisham vyomasanskrit padani tvai ayatante yat idam na chitram. Since both worlds taken care of by the Lord, he is also carried by the divine sandals at his feet. Now the status, the positions, the conditions. So padani here doesn't mean simply words as we understand. Padani meaning padam is post. Padavi we say sometimes in Sanskrit, Tamil and other languages also. So padani meaning post, positions, statuses of whom? Vyoma-sadam, vyoma, sky. So vyoma, akashaha, Vishnu, viyat. These are all words for sky. So abhaha. So vyoma-sadam with padani. So the positions of the gods, those who reside in the sky, so sky residents, vyoma-sadam. So how are they? Anyadrisham. They are the other categories of people. So apart from the worlds like, so the special society is called Anyadrisham Vyoma-sadam. That's the place called, we say, Swarga, heaven. So the heavenly residence. The heaven is also a created world. It is included under Lila Vibhuti. But still, so Anyadrisham. So there are other name is given. So sky residence, Vyoma-sadam. So Padani, the positions of the sky residents, namely gods, who are little different. Tvai ayatatante. They depend on you. Tvai, in you, ayatatante. They have to get support from you. It's a passive voice verb. So padani ayatatante. They are carried by you. Rather, the positions are intact. Their positions are in good stead because of you. Tvai ayatatante. Yat which idam na chitram. This is not a surprise. And the whole universe's Lord, Almighty, the powerful Almighty, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. So all are one, three in one. So when he is held at the feet by the divine sandals, there is no wonder, there is no miracle to understand that the positions of gods, the sky residents, are also dependent on you. So that's the meaning of this 59th verse. So again, so what we understand from these verses is Swami Vedantadeshika wants to highlight the importance of the divine sandals, especially available only in Srirangam temple under the divine feet of the Utsava Divya Mangala Vigraha, the festival divine form, who has been called, who is being called Nam Perumal, because he is our deity, our God, closer to us, closer to our heart, and he is considered Rama, as you know, by the incarnation, and therefore it is Rama Paduka. So already we saw the words Rama Pada Padavani. So here, so in the same way, so you have, so this is very important that we can go on understanding. By 1008 verses, we will have much greatness explained in detail. So let us go to the next one. So Pado Murare Sharanam Prajana Tayostadevasi Padavanitvam Sharanyatayastvamananya Raksha Sandrishyase Vishrama Bhumireka. 1 second. Okay. So Pado Murare. So it's very easy to understand. So Pado Murare Sharanam Prajana Tayostadevasi Padavanitvam. The first half tells us that who is the shelter for people like us. So Prajanam Sharanam Padav. The people's shelter, refuge is, resort is Padav, the two divine feet. Whose divine feet? Murarehe, of Sri Ranganatha. We saw the meaning of the word Murarihi earlier. So Murarehe Sharanam, Murarehe Padav, Prajanam Sharanam. The shelter for the people to resort to is the divine feet of the two divine feet of Lord Ranganatha. So again, Tayoho, that is Padayoho, of these two divine feet, Tadevasi Padavanitvam, He Padavani, oh divine sandals, oh the divine sandals which protect the Lord Ranganatha's feet, the feet of Lord Ranganatha, Tvam you, Tadevasi, Tadeva Asi, Asi are, A-R-E, you are. So you are the Tadeva, Sharanam, so Tayoho, of the divine feet. Padayoho. Tayoho refers to Padayoho. Tat, that. So you are that again. You are the shelter again. You are the refuge. So you give succor to the two divine feet because you protect them. Because you save them. You save them from getting injured while Ranganatha walks. So when the Utsava Divyamangala Vigraha is taken from the Sanctum Sanctorum to many places outside the temple, the divine sandals take due care of the divine feet. And the divine feet are made to walk on smooth surface. Therefore, Padu Murare Sharanam Prajanam. People here, that means we, worshipping in the temple, keep the divine feet as our shelter, as our last resort. Murare of Ranganatha. Whereas for the divine feet, Tvam eva sharanam, you are the shelter. He Padavani. Now, what is the special quality of this divine sandals? Namely, Ananya Raksha. It doesn't need any protection from anybody else. Of course, the Lord Ranganatha created, Lord Srimanarayana created the sandals. When Lord Srimanarayana came to existence, when did he come to existence? I mean, we have no beginning for Lord. Anadi. Anadi Madhya, Anadi Anta. I mean, Ananta. He is not, he has no beginning, he has no end, he has nothing called the middle portion. So, middle time. So, Ananya Raksha, so unprotected by anybody else. So, the divine sandals appeared along with other appeared when I say, that means there must be a beginning. So the divine sandals are also beginningless, and they don't need any outside protection. The Lord Ranganatha will also assure the protection to the divine sandals. So Tvam Ananya Raksha. In the second half, you see Tvam Ananya Raksha. Now again you have a passive verb. Sandrishyase. You are well seen. So if the divine feet are the shelter for the people, and the divine sandals are the shelter for the divine feet, then the word, what you call the term, the shelter, applies only to the divine sandals, finally. So Vishrama Bhumi Reka, Eka, the unique, the single, Vishrama Bhumi, the time for rest, I mean the place of rest, namely Vishrama Bhumi, is only the sandals, divine sandals, Paduka. Sharanyatayaha, Tvam Ananya Raksha. So you have nobody else to protect, because you are the protector. All types of protection is given by you to others. So there is no need for your protection, because there is no necessity for you to be protected. So Sharanyatayaha, that means for the term, what you call in the dictionary, this word is an end in itself, namely in you. So he is called Sharanyaha. Lord Ranganatha is called Sharanyaha. Mahalakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is called Sharanya. And you are the extreme limit for this Sharanyata. Sharanyata is the quality of shelter. So you are the best shelter. And because you also assure protection to the divine feet of the Lord. You are seen now as the Tamil word will be better to understand the word Vishrama Bhumihi, Yellai Nilam. We say in Sanskrit, Parakashtha. You are the extreme limit, you are the only extreme limit for what we call the shelter, what we call the bhava of shelter. Sharanyasya bhavaha Sharanyata. And therefore, Sharanyatayaha. So this is the, so let me read again. Pado murare sharanam prajana tayostadevasi padavanitvam sharanyatayastvamananya raksha sandrishyate vishrama bhumi reka. So we conclude here today for this session, and then we continue tomorrow. Let me read the last verse. Jayati etiraja suktihi jayati mukundasya paduka yugali Tadvayadhanas Trivedim Avandhyayanto Jayanti Bhuvi Santaha Kavitarkika Sumhayak. Sorry, before saying the Tanyan, we will say the first verse of the Padukasahasram. Santasriranga Prathvisha Charanatrana Shekharaha Jayanti Bhuvanatrana Patapankajare Namaha Kavitarkika Sumhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Since we started little 2 minutes with a delay of 2 minutes, so we are ending with 6:03. Thank you very much. So let us continue to be deeper devotees of Sri Paduka by the adoration of Sri Vedantadeshika. Dhanyavadaha. Let me take any question if you want. Okay, good. Riti's comment is good. Lord's humble-looking sandals emerging as the best, strongest, purest, and source of all protection. Very good. Thanks to Meenakshi Madam for the difference, to understand the difference between Sharanya, Sharanyaha, Sharanam. Many people confuse these words with So first letter cha, it is called talavya, the palatal. So charanam, charanaha is foot. Charanam is Dvitiya Vibhakti, the accusative case of charanaha. Charanaha is foot. C-A-R-A, capital N-A, charana. Sharanam is S-H-A-R-A, capital N-A. Sharanam. Sharanam is shelter. Charanaha is foot. Many people confused because they don't know the difference of letters. They must be given the place of pronunciation to understand. Some people not knowing perfectly the alphabet struggle hard to understand. The pronunciation is also wrong. So charanam is what we call Tiruvadiyai. So we add the letter I in Tamil. It's called Vetrumai Urubu. The special letter, which has to be added to the vibhaktis, the cases. At another session, we can have what are the equivalents in English and Tamil for the words to be added to words, not to understand. So thank you so much.